If you spent any time online looking for ways to make money, you probably come across something called dropshipping. Dropshipping, it's one of the most talked about models ever. It's very simple. You find a product, you set up a store, you run ads, and you try to sell said product. And for some people it works. But if you really look at it closely, you start to notice one thing. Most of the effort is going into trying to get attention and convincing people to buy something they weren't already planning to buy. On top of that, you're competing with thousands of other stores, you're testing products, you're dealing with margins, you're dealing with returns, you're dealing with ad costs. There's a lot of moving pieces that can go wrong. Now, I want to actually introduce you to a different way of thinking. All right, instead of focusing on moving products, what if you focused on moving money? That's exactly what this video is about. By the way, guys, if you like learning about smarter ways to make money without chasing trends, go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe for more free game that pays. All right, now let's really walk through this step by step. So I want to talk about why product-based models are a lot harder than they look, okay? On the surface, a product-based business seems fairly simple, all right? You sell something, you make a profit. You sell something, you make a profit. But behind that, there's a lot going on, okay? You have to find the right product. Then you have to make sure people actually want that product. You have to compete with pricing. You have to handle delivery expectations. You have to deal with refunds and issues. And then there's advertising. Once you figure all of that out, now you have to advertise it. And most dropshipping businesses rely heavily on ads, which means that your ability to actually make money depends solely on your ability to consistently spend money and get a return. And that creates a lot of pressure for most people, okay? Because now you're constantly trying to stay ahead of rising costs and competition, and it becomes a cycle, it becomes a loop, right? And a lot of people get stuck in that cycle without realizing that there are other ways to operate. Now, let's quickly shift perspectives, okay? Instead of asking yourself, what can I sell? I want you to try something. Ask yourself, where is money already trying to go? Now, that may seem like a weird question, but just follow me, right? Because money is always moving. Okay, businesses need capital to grow. Investors need funding to move on opportunities. Companies need cash flow to operate. That demand doesn't need to be created because it already exists. Okay, it exists every single day. So instead of trying to create interest in a product, you position yourself around financial demand, right? And when you do that, the entire model becomes way simpler in the terms of you trying to make money. You're no longer dealing with the inventory. You're no longer dealing with fulfillment. You're no longer dealing with customer complaints. You're focused on connecting people, and you're focused on connecting people to something that they already need. So on this video, we use the term money shipping, right? That's what's in the title. When I say money shipping, I'm simply talking about facilitating the movement of capital, okay? A business owner needs funding. There are funding teams and lenders ready to deploy that funding. Your role is simple. You connect the two, all right? That's it. You're not approving the deal. You're not doing any of the underwriting. You're not managing the loan. You're introducing someone to a system that already exists, right? And when funding happens, you earn based off of the size of that transaction. That's the key difference between dropshipping and money shipping. You're operating in larger financial movements, not small product transactions. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking you've already met people who need funding or investors that need capital, that's exactly why I built the Automotion Broker Society on School. Because the biggest gap for most people is not the opportunity, but it's simply just the infrastructure. So that's why inside the school community, you get direct access to one of the highest producing financial and funding service teams in the United States. We've done tens of millions of dollars of funding for business owners and for investors as well. And we have relationships with hundreds of lenders across the entire country. So when you connect someone, you're not guessing. You're literally connecting them to a system that works. You're plugging them into a real system that knows how to get deals approved and capital deployed the right way. So if you want to position yourself correctly and actually do this right now, go ahead, join the school using the link below. Now let's go deeper into why this model makes more sense long term. So I'm a numbers guy, all right? So let's just simply talk about the numbers. With products, you're usually working with a lot smaller margins. So what do I mean by that? You might make $10, $20, maybe $50 per sale. So what does that mean? What that means is if you want to make 10K, 20K a month, you need massive volume, right? You need a lot of volume. With funding, you're dealing with a lot larger transactions, 50,000, 100,000, sometimes a lot more than that. So even a small percentage of that turns into a meaningful payout. That changes how many wins you need. You don't need hundreds of funding customers. You need fewer high value outcomes. And that makes the model easier to manage once it's set up correctly. Think about it this way. If you had a $20 product, you would make the same amount of money having to sell 100 of those $20 products rather than one funding deal, right? So on dropshipping, you have to sell 100 of those things. But money shipping, you only have to sell one, and you're not even selling it because they already need it, and you're making the same amount of money. Another important difference between these two business models is, where the demand actually comes from. Okay, so products, that depends on the interest of the product. Who needs it? Funding, that depends on necessity. Businesses don't stop needing capital ever. In fact, during tougher times, aka today, the need becomes even more urgent than ever before. So instead of relying on trends or viral products, you're aligned with something more consistent and more real. That gives this business model a lot more stability, right? You're not constantly starting over. You're building on top of demand that's real. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, okay, well, how do you scale money shipping? Well, scaling this doesn't look like scaling a store, right? It's very different. You're not increasing ad spend. You're expanding relationships. And basically, you connect with people who already talk to business owners. You align with networks where funding conversations happen. You build multiple sources of deal flow. Each one becomes a channel, and over time, those channels create consistent income for you. I like to kind of look at it like this, and I call it closing pipelines, right? So instead of finding one funding deal, aka selling one product, but what if I could find a business coach or an investor that deals with business owners on a day-to-day basis? And what if I can connect to their pipeline? And what if I could talk to their business owners that they talk to and be able to help fund their clients, right? So that's what we call building pipelines. And that's how you essentially scale a model like this. It's all through relationships. It's all through conversations. It's all through literally getting yourself and putting yourself in the position and getting yourself in the right door to be around business owners and around investors and people that need what you're offering. So with that being said, in my opinion, most people spend their time trying to figure out what to sell. Most people spend their time looking into drop shipping. Some people do it. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people that are very successful with that business model. But all I'm trying to say is there is a completely different approach, okay? If you're watching this video and you're someone that has looked into drop shipping and it wasn't for you, then I truly believe that this business model is something that could be for you. You can spend your time understanding where money is already moving and simply placing yourself there. And that shift changes literally everything for you, okay? Because now you're not chasing attention in the sense of your products and who want them, but you're aligning yourself with real demand of things that people need every single day. And once you understand that, you start to see opportunities everywhere that were always there right in front of your face. You just weren't necessarily looking for them before until right now.